Hello everyone. So, this is a psychic reading on the future of Ukraine. So I just want to start off by saying that this is not just me speculating and saying what I think is going to happen, and it's not really my opinion. It's also not what I want to happen. So, if I say something that you find offensive or something that you don't like, it's not my opinion. It isn't what I want to happen. This is just the visions that I see when I go into meditation and I go into a trance, and that's how I tune into things, and that's how I give psychic readings to people. So if I was just telling people what sounded good, I don't think people would come back to me for readings. So that's not what I do here. So with that said, I'm going to get into what I was seeing. I wrote it down as it came to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and read through my notes here. So what I was seeing was, coming up here very soon, I'm seeing Ukraine getting weapons. By the way, it's October 20th, 2022 right now. So I'm seeing Ukraine getting lots more weapons from countries to the north. It was like coming down from the north is the way that I saw it. And I'm seeing them taking back parts of the areas that Ukraine had, that they annexed and claimed as their own. I claimed that it was part of Russia now. So that's just the northern part, though. I do see the more southern parts of Ukraine that they've claimed as part of their country now. I see that holding. I don't see Ukraine taking that part back. But it's just like the northern part. And so the southern part, what I'm seeing is Russia really completely integrating that into their country, economically as well as culturally. And so people there just identify as Russian, and it's not, there's no like confusion about it within the people that live there. Although the northern part is different. So, and I'm talking about the northern section of Ukraine. The southern section of Ukraine. Just those, like if you drew a line at the bottom of the country, and just that section seems to be all turning to Russia. Over the next few years, I'm seeing these areas becoming stabilized and integrated more fully into the country of Russia. I do see them slowly starting to occupy more areas to the north of that area, but not too much necessarily, and it kind of just seems like it turns into chaos. It doesn't even seem like it's necessarily occupied by Russia or Ukraine. It's not like either country is in charge of the area. It just kind of seems like a wild, desolate area in a lot of Ukraine in the future. Just different like factions of people fighting each other, and it's not even necessarily like the military of two countries. It's like there's like, I almost want to say like gangs is kind of what's coming up here, but it's just like different groups of people. I'm also getting that this, because of the breakdown of government, the breakdown of regulation and whatnot, it becomes a hotbed for radicalization of all sorts. I'm not talking about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. I'm talking about just like radicalization of different types, and I do get that unfortunately this can breed terrorism, and I do see there being some sort of terrorist group formed in that area and around that area to the south of Ukraine as well, and I'm seeing them kind of going southwest of Ukraine and invading that area and causing some havoc there. This could be like 3 to 5 years or something like that, so it's not anything immediate, but it seems like this is going to be sometime in the future. I did a video about this in the past, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but it's going to be at least 3 to 5 years or so. It could be much further out than that. I'll try and find that video and link it below this video. And, oh yeah, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Anyways, it looks like Ukraine will become kind of desolate and like I was saying, like a wasteland. And I'm seeing the government, the system just kind of breaking down for the most part, and it almost not resembling Ukraine anymore. It's just kind of like almost like the Wild West before the government really took over. However, I also see Russia taking a lot of damage, and the other thing that I was saying is Ukraine taking back this area that Russia had kind of more to the north of the areas that they're really controlling, and Ukraine taking that back and kind of working their way towards Russia and causing some damage to Russia. They may even cross over the border of the official country, the actual border that's recognized by most countries, into Russia. So I do see there being a lot of damage here, and I do see it hurting Putin pretty badly here. But I also see Putin, being kind of happy about what's going on too. So, there's two sides to this, but it does hurt Putin. So this could be in around 1 or 2 years or so that they really start to damage Russia, and Russia starts to really feel the negative effects. I was getting that Russia seems to be making economic deals with countries to the south of Ukraine, which allows them to continue as a country. So these deals that they're making allow them to continue on and kind of help stabilize their country, is what I'm getting. I don't see Putin stopping, and I also don't see Ukraine really ever getting back. They're trying to take back Crimea. I don't see that happening. I don't see them taking back the southern area of Ukraine either. That seems to be basically Russia. It seems in around 2 to 4 years or so, Ukraine will mostly be in the northern western part of the country of Ukraine. That will be mostly where the Ukrainian government is at, and everywhere else will just be kind of wasteland, although to some extent the whole place will be wasteland, and on some level the Ukrainian government doesn't really seem to function in the way that it may have in the past. It looks like Putin is trying to take the whole country now, but isn't necessarily able to take all of it, and he seems a little bit disappointed about that. Overall, I would say if one country was to win, I guess, I would say that due to the desolation of the Ukrainian government, it seems like Russia wins overall, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that either country wins because neither of them really look, successful by the end of this. They both seem pretty damaged. I keep being drawn to the south of Ukraine, below the Black Sea, and something about Russia gaining lots of support that helps them in the future from those areas. This seems to be their strength against the United States and the EU. So I do see the United States and the EU being a big threat to Russia. But it looks like they're able to just barely maintain themselves and not fall apart under that pressure. Turkey was coming up in particular, and I was getting that Turkey may actually suffer in the future because of something that they're doing with Russia and somehow becoming involved with Russia, and this causing them for their economy to weaken, and it doesn't look very great for them. Overall, Putin seems happy about the outcome with Ukraine, although he doesn't seem happy about the state of his country. What I was getting was that he wants to get rid of any competition to his country, and so he wants to kind of destabilize Ukraine and any countries around there that may be near his country, basically. And once this happens, which I do see this happening to Ukraine, once this happens, I get that he's going to feel more safe and the battle will slow down over time. And it will kind of turn back to how it was before the official invasion happened, where there's been just battling going on in that country between, I think, the Russian-backed separatists and like different Ukrainian militia organizations that are not connected to the government of Ukraine, but just organizations. And there's a lot of battling going on in that area, and I'm seeing it kind of becoming more like that again in the future, but more widespread and less of a Ukrainian government and more of just like this bunch of groups that are all working to fight for Ukraine, even though there's kind of like not much of a governmental system there anymore. But it seems like the goal is just to continue fighting Russia, and that seems to be what's going to exist. Basically just that, but no like governmental system, not much in the way of a city or city life, I guess you could say. So I do get that the next coming months may be really bad for Russia, and Russia is going to suffer a lot. Right now it's October 20th, so the rest of this month and November, maybe December, but definitely this month in November, seems like there's going to be some situations that will be hurting Russia, and so it looks like Ukraine will be making some advances here. However, I also said in the past that I don't know, a couple months ago I predicted that Putin was going to have some sort of popular opinion against him within his own country, and he would kind of go on a little break. And that kind of happened. And there's been a lot of protesting that happened earlier in this month, October. And it seems like he's kind of slowly coming back. But what I also predicted way back then was that it would take like a month and a half or so for him to kind of come back up and rise back up with the whole like power that he had before, because he's been kind of beaten in a little bit. So it seems like this may correspond a little bit with that timeline too, where October, November, he may be starting to kind of come back up a little bit and, you know, be back in a position of power rather than being beaten down a little bit, which I'm seeing that continuing on. So I do see him being beaten down a little bit more. I do get the sense that Russia is changing their strategy to that of a slower pace. And so what I've heard on the news is kind of confusing, because initially what I heard was that Russia was thinking that they would overthrow Ukraine instantaneously, like overnight, and then that would be that, and that Russia was wrong and that it was taking longer than they thought. And what I've been reading since before the invasion even happened was that Russia was going to invade Ukraine and slowly take a little bit of land and be in it for like a really long, slow-paced thing. And so I'm really not getting that Putin was like thrown off by that. I think that he's always had this slow, steady pace going on. But and it's kind of funny because the news more recently I've been hearing that Russia is starting to speed things up, but that's kind of the opposite of what I'm getting again, is that we've just kind of reached this point in October of 2022 where it seems like Putin, from what I'm reading at least, is actually changing his strategy and kind of thinking more long term. And so now he's starting to realize like, oh, like this is going to take longer than I thought. But it's kind of just the opposite of what I'm hearing on the news, but that's what I'm getting anyways. I also get the sense that Russia is going to be more focused on holding their ground rather than focused on occupying more land in Ukraine. I'm not saying that they're not going to forge ahead and continue battling to take more land, but I'm seeing their priority shifting a little bit to become more defensive of the land that they've already taken and not just continuing to push as hard forward. So when I tuned into Putin and I asked what is really driving him, like why is he doing this, what's going on in his head, the answer that I got was he's concerned about the crumbling of his country, and he also saw Ukraine as a threat, so he just figured he'd just wipe them out, or more so destabilize them, not necessarily wipe them out. I actually, in previous readings, I was getting that he actually is sad about the destruction of Ukraine, in the sense that he doesn't want to destroy the infrastructure. He actually wants the infrastructure to stay. He wants life to continue there, but he doesn't want the... he just wants to wipe out the government of Ukraine. That's what I was getting. And so he just wants to get rid of the threat, basically, what he sees as a threat to him. So I'm not trying to defend him or take his position. That's what's coming through for me for what's going through his head. So when I asked what will happen to Zelenskyy, what I got was he will stay in the war, but he will also have an exit strategy through Poland or Belarus to safety. So, I've heard people say, Putin's going to be taken out, he's going to be shot or killed or whatever. I'm not seeing that. It's possible, anything could happen, but I wasn't particularly seeing that. Zelenskyy as well. Will Zelenskyy be killed? I'm not particularly seeing that. I'm more so seeing him escaping the country to safety, and whether that means he runs away or kind of goes back and forth. I'm kind of seeing him doing both, like kind of going back and forth and spending a lot of time outside of Ukraine. And I also was getting that he may be becoming integrated into a different country's military, or kind of integrated into a different country in some way. So it's like he's kind of being taken care of by international powers that are not Ukraine. So he seems to kind of escape all of the chaos in the end. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you can always give this video a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you would like to see some more of the controversial content that I am not going to be posting on YouTube, you can join my Patreon page for $5 a month. You will have access to all my more interesting information. And if you would like to have access to my crypto predictions for Bitcoin, as well as the stock market and things of that nature, where I do readings on things that people request of that nature, that's only $10 a month to have access to that, which a lot of people have been making a lot of money off of. So the links to that will be below this video. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.